Hello, I'm Lorene Harder-Gissing, archivist and librarian at the Milton Good Library at Conrad Grebel University College. I am also the liaison librarian to the Theological Studies, the Mennonite Studies, and the Peace and Conflict Studies programs. This means that I work directly with these programs to create research guides and to be available to students to help with your library research questions. My presentation covers an overview of the library system here at the University of Waterloo, some thoughts about how to navigate your way through academic library research, search strategies you can use online or anywhere, and how to capture your research as you go along. So, let's get started. We have quite a diverse library ecosystem here at the University of Waterloo. There are two large libraries, Dana Porter for Arts and Davis Center for Science and Technology. We have several subject-specific libraries for professional programs. There are also a number of smaller resource centers not listed here. And last, but not least, we have the Affiliated and Federated Institutes of Waterloo Libraries, or AFU, which include our library and the libraries of St. Jerome's University and Renison University College. All of us share the same library catalog called Omni, and your Watt card is your library card for all of these libraries. Libraries at the University of Waterloo have a strong online presence. Through the library catalog, Omni, you have access to thousands of online books and articles. Sitting alongside the library catalog are over 200 specialized databases, collectively containing a vast amount of information across all disciplines. The library catalog will automatically search many, but not nearly all, of these 200 databases for you. So I like to say that the library catalog is a good place to begin your search, but don't stop there. If you are in theological studies or Mennonite studies, you will end up spending a lot of time in the American Theological Library Association, or ATLA, religion database. If you are in peace and conflict studies, you will be touching on many other disciplines from education to political science to engineering to fine arts, depending on your research topic. In any case, I encourage you to check your library research guide for advice. The guides are listed here. Maybe now would be a good time to pause, and if you have not done this before, open up your discipline's research guide and take a look around. I will be referring to the guides at different points in this presentation. Our library system is also connected to networks of other academic libraries. We are part of a consortium in Ontario called Omni, and you may notice that the library catalog indicates which of our books are also held in these libraries. Normally, you would be able to order books from these libraries to be delivered here, but that service is not operating now due to COVID restrictions. However, the interlibrary loan system is still available. This service searches the world's libraries for items that we don't have and, if possible, delivers an electronic copy to you. We all do research of some kind every day. So what's different about academic library research? We have become used to thinking that the information world is like this picture of the wide open prairie. All the information that we need is free and freely available at our fingertips. However, this is not actually the case, and that is where academic libraries come in. The open internet does not provide access to all information. Commercial interests and regulations frame what we see. The sheer volume of information can hinder us from finding what is most relevant. The internet is also not known for setting ideas in context. So, academic libraries provide some things that the open internet does not. academic libraries are non-commercial for the most part. Academic libraries connect to legacy bodies of knowledge and academic conversations that go back hundreds of years. Academic libraries provide access to copyright materials. We are interested in making academic conversations available and in providing contexts for that knowledge. Academic libraries are not perfect systems, and there is much of value in the open internet. But it is important to understand that there is a wealth of information available in academic libraries. So if academic library research is different, how do you begin? And how do you keep on track? Here are 4 orientation points that might be helpful to keep in mind. Number 1, research is joining a conversation. I like this quote from The Craft of Research. No place is more filled with imagined voices than a library. When you read a book, you silently converse with its writer and through her with everyone else she has read, and when you report your own research, you add your voice and can hope that other voices will respond to you so that you, in return, can respond to them. Academic research is structured as a conversation. That is why we insist so much on citing sources. To join a conversation, it helps to understand the language of the conversation and what is at stake in the conversation. I will come back to this point in a little while. Number 2, research requires evaluating and reflecting. You could write a paper by deciding on an unshakable point of view and then using research to find those voices in the conversation that agree with you. It might be a great paper, a great opinion piece, or personal essay, but it would not be a research paper. Research involves inquiry, finding and listening to different voices, evaluating those voices, and reflecting on your own response, maybe even changing your mind. In your library research guide on the Citing and Writing page, you will find a series of questions called Radar to help you evaluate what you are reading. Number 3, acknowledge the mess of research. In my presentation, I am giving you some clear guidelines and strategies for library research. Though I believe these rules are valuable and I use them in my own research, I know they are not infallible. You will get bogged down in research. You will get frustrated and lose track. This has happened to me many times, and I'm guessing if you ask your professors, they may admit to the same. This does not necessarily mean that you are doing research wrong. In fact, grappling with problems is a natural and important part of learning. What we don't want is to get so lost in the mess that we can't get out. This is a time to step back, to breathe, and do some reevaluation. Reach out to your peers, your professor, or even a librarian. And finally, number 4, research starts with play. At this point, you might want to pause the presentation and open the library catalog homepage in your browser. The URL is there on your screen. There you will see the blank box that is the key to many academic conversations. Don't feel you need to start your research with an absolutely solid understanding of your topic or point of view. Use that blank box to play around with language and ideas. Take notes of what you discover. So, now that we have some orientation, let's talk strategy. I will go over 4 strategies here: pearl growing, Boolean logic, facets, and research capture. Using the idea that research begins with play, let's try some pearl growing. As you may know, a pearl begins from a bit of grit and grows from there. In library terms, pearl growing is about starting with one thing, an idea, a word, a book, and expanding your research. Suppose I am interested in the life and thought of a German theologian and activist named Dietrich Bonhoeffer. I don't know much about him, except that he was involved in a plot to assassinate Hitler during the Second World War. I wonder how he reconciled his theology and actions and what his legacy has been. I searched the library catalog and come up with this book written very recently, 2019, called Bonhoeffer, God's Conspirator in a State of Exception. Now it's time to pay attention to what the library catalog says about the book. The library has provided some subject headings. These links track academic conversations and could lead me to other books on the topic. They also give me some clues for other words I might use to search, like political violence, for example. Finally, I take a look further down the page and see all kinds of additional information. Not every book will have this much information attached, but many of the newer ones will. Here, I read that Bonhoeffer has been the subject of intense academic conversation in the post-war period. There have been many attempts to evaluate his legacy. I notice some concepts that I find interesting, like martyrdom and pacifism. I make a note to try my library search again, using those words in connection with Dietrich Bonhoeffer. Now I am on my way to finding a topic. So now that I have an idea of the language of what I'm looking for, it's time to try some Boolean logic. George Boole, a mathematician, described this form of logic before the invention of digital computers. Today, every online search you do has been influenced to some extent by his work. In academic library research, you will come across his three terms again and again: and, or, not. And, or, and not are used to expand or limit your searches. As you can see in this slide, I get a limited number of results by connecting Bonhoeffer and pacifism using the Boolean and. I get a huge number of results searching with or, and I get a somewhat limited set of results searching with not. Many databases, including the library catalog shown here, will prompt you in their advanced search forms to use Boolean terms. Most of the time, these forms default to and, which will probably be the most common term you will use. You can build searches on several terms, such as this one for Bonhoeffer and pacifism and martyrdom. To make sure that the database will search words as a phrase, put them in quotes, such as this search for Bonhoeffer and, quote, political violence, unquote. Remember that databases are very literal. To make sure that the library catalog is searching all forms of the word martyr, including martyrs and martyrdom, I add an asterisk to tell the database that I want all forms of the word. You can also construct complex Boolean searches that do several jobs at once. This is often best done, I find, in the basic search box of a database, as opposed to advanced search. This search for Bonhoeffer and, open bracket, pacifism or nonviolence, closed bracket, tells the library catalog to search for all library records that contain the words Bonhoeffer and pacifism or nonviolence, just in case one book or article uses the term pacifism or nonviolence exclusively. Now that you know what Boolean logic is, expect to see it everywhere. As I said, most databases will prompt you to use Boolean searching. Google also has a Boolean search form at google.ca or google.com/advanced search. Now let's turn our attention to another tool called facet or filter searching. Facet searching is available in many databases. As you do a first search, you will often notice a series of choices that the database makes available to you. Often, these appear down the left-hand side of the screen. My initial Boolean search for Bonhoeffer and pacifism turned up in 456 results in the library catalog. Because I want to focus specifically on the academic conversations about this topic in journal articles, I click the Peer-Reviewed Journals facet. See how my results have now been narrowed to 151? Another commonly used facet is date of publication. If I want to tap into only the most recent parts of the conversation, I can limit results to those books or articles published in the last 10 years only. On the other hand, if I was particularly interested in what people were saying about Bonhoeffer in the 1960s, I might choose to highlight that decade instead. And yes, facets are everywhere too, in most databases and also in Google's advanced search page. I would also like to point out that Google's advanced search includes something called usage rights. This can be helpful if you are searching for photographs that you can freely use in presentations. All of the stock open source photos in my presentation were found by including the usage rights facet in my internet searches. The final strategy I want to highlight is called research capture. I have already alluded to this by encouraging you to take notes as you go along. Many databases provide tools to help you automate some of that note-taking. The screenshot on the left is from the library catalog. In every library catalog book record, you will have the option to cut and paste the book citation, send yourself an email, copy a permanent link, or send a citation to a research capture management app. The screenshot on the right from the ATLA Religion database prompts you to print, to email, to save or export the citation to a research capture management app. To go one step further, sign up for your free RefWorks Research Capture account. Using RefWorks, you can capture citation information for books and articles in University of Waterloo databases. You can create folders to manage your research. You can create bibliographies almost automatically. You will have to double check just to make sure the information is correct and formatted the way you want, but it certainly saves a lot of typing. Visit the RefWorks Research Guide, listed here, to find out more. And speaking of more, you can find more information about library services, research advice, the best online resources for your discipline, and how to reach out to me or other library staff at the links on this slide. I hope you have a great term and explore all that the library has to offer.